Hello everyone, I am CS Punshi, Indirect Tax Expert at ClearTax. First of all, I would like to thank each and everyone for attending today's session of Master of Taxes. It's an exclusive live webinar series brought to you by ClearTax. So in today's fourth episode of the series, we are going to talk about emerging GST issues due to COVID-19. To discuss this, we have with us CA Sushil Kumar Goyal ji, who is GST expert and Vice Chairman of GST and Indirect Tax Committee ICI. Before we begin with the webinar, I would like to welcome our founder and CEO Archit ji. Archit ji was selected for the Fortune 40 Under 40 Entrepreneurship Awards. ClearTex was also listed by Tech in Asia as one of the top fintech startup in India and was recognized by the Economics Times and NDTV Gadgets as the best tax filing website in the country. So I would request him to speak a few lines.
Yeah, so it is my absolute pleasure to have CS Sushil Goyal ji with us today in this exciting chapter of Masters of Tax. So, I am personally very excited to hear about this topic. And before we get started, I will welcome him and give a little bit of background. We are very proud to have CS Sushil Kumar ji, Vice Chairman of GST and Indirect Taxes Committee and the Board of Studies for the year 2020-21. Just for his background, he has served as the Regional Council member of ICAI from 2007 to 2013. At present, he has been elected for his second term from the Central Council of ICAI. He is also the co-chairman of GST and Indirect Tax Committee of Merchants Chamber of Commerce and Industry at Calcutta. And that's not all. He has authored a book on service tax called Service Tax Guide, and he has penned more than 100 articles for the CA Journal on GST. With this, we thank you for joining us, sir, and looking forward to an enlightening session with you. And this is a session on emerging issues in GST due to COVID-19 crisis. So it will be very exciting. And before we start, sir, I have one question for you. Sir, what is your maybe one advice to all CA firms at a higher level, to the professional community with this crisis, with this COVID-19 crisis? Maybe just what is your big message for 2020 and 2021 financial year?
Yeah, basically what we have learned in this COVID is the distance education and distance learning. Apart from that, working from home is the future which we can understood. Big use of technology will come. We each one have to we be ready with the powerful network at home also, and then only we will able to serve. We don't know how much time this lockdown will continue. We don't know whether it will again come again. People are saying that it is the first phase. There may be other phases also of COVID. So many things. So we should prepare ourselves with all the requisite software, requisite system, and the network. Then only we will be surviving in this future, I can say. And all chartered accountants, they have to understand that online is the future. Now, if we want to see the papers physically, want to work physically, and these, I think, things of the past. So with this much only I want to convey. Be ready for the online, I can say the virtual world, like this virtual meeting we are having today. Be ready for the virtual world. Everything will be virtual.
So very powerful message. Thank you for sharing that. Adopt technology, embrace this work from home, power up with tools, power up with the internet, and work from anytime, anywhere. So thank you, sir, for that powerful message. With that, please lead us into the presentation. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So first and foremost, I want to thanks ClearTax for inviting me to share my thoughts on the emerging GST issues due to COVID-19. Number of issues are there, and definitely I will try to answer whatever issues participant will raise. They have option to raise their queries, their thing, whatever is in their mind, they can raise that. For major issues which we have compiled, that we thought that is affecting each and everyone, all our user. सभी को वो इफेक्ट कर रहे हैं, तो हमने वो 4 इश्यूज लिए हैं, and I hope all you will gain something out of this presentation. Let me start. We have divided these 4 issues. First is the eligibility of ITC paid on face mask and sanitizer to employees. Second is the availability of ITC on invoice not uploaded by the vendor due to the lockdown. That is section rule 36(4). We are talking treatment of ITC on goods disposed of due to COVID-19. So many goods are destroyed, no doubt on that, because the transit movement has stopped all of a sudden, and so many expiry goods are there. All food items, they have minimum expiry period, so all these got destroyed, or we have to dispose it of. Treatment of discounts and bad debt due to COVID-19. Definitely, business is facing challenge, working capital challenge. So some discount, some bad debt, businessmen have to accommodate in this scenario. So let's we discuss topic wise. First is the eligibility of ITC on face mask and sanitizer to employees. Friends, if you ask me one line answer, I will say yes, it should be allowed. But if you ask me the legally what are the provisions where we can got hit from the sections, then we have to first understand the block credit section 75B. Section 75B is talking about the membership of a club, health, fitness center, travel benefit extended to employee on vacation, such as leave or home travel concession. This first slide is coming next. Food and beverages, outdoor catering, beauty treatment, health services, cosmetic and plastic surgery, leasing, renting, hiring of motor vehicle vessels. So whether this mask and sanitizer will be considered as to be used by employee or not, that we have to understand. Friends, whatever employees are using for the performance of duty during the course of this, if it is specifically not debarred, not covered under the block credit, it will be allowed. Items which is specifically mentioned here are only restricted, and moreover, the section 17(5) talks about whatever required as per law. If you are providing those things, we are eligible for the credit. So no doubt on this. Even if it is not be affected by the clause 17(5)(g), that is goods or services both used for personal consumption. It cannot be considered as for personal consumption. Basically, these are the things which suppose there are some stationery purchased by the organization and few of the employees taken at home, or the director taken it home, or the director's sons came and he took some of the stationery. Those are considered as personal consumptions. Whatever you are consuming in the office premises are not considered as personal consumption. Then question will arise. People will ask, so then why the food items are, whatever lunch or breakfast is served in the office is not allowed to us? Because these are specifically excluded from the allowability, or we can say these are specifically blocked. So these are not allowed. That is the reason, but there is no restriction on this about the mask and sanitizer. So many things are in the office people are using. There are, if you go to some industries, they used to have these helmets. They used to have certain type of specified uniforms. These all were provided by the company. So all were allowed as a credit, never stopped. So considering this, I feel there is no restriction for the face mask or sanitizer or the temperature reading machines, whatever people are buying. All this will not be considered as personal consumptions or will not be considered as provided to employees. So I have no doubt on this. If anybody have any queries related to this, we are ready to answer. Now moving to the next Ah, this one thing I want to discuss in addition to this. Suppose some video games has purchased or movie tickets or IPL tickets has been given by to the employees or holiday packages are given. These are definitely employees is going and consuming for his personal purposes. So these are not allowed, no restriction, not coming under the restrictions, this sanitizer and the mask. Now moving to the next item, that is availability of ITC on invoice not uploaded by the vendor due to lockdown. Friends, I will have little elaborated discussion on this point because it is going to impact in each and every uh, businessman here, each and every person who is registered due to rule 36(4). Then there is relaxations in the filing of GSTR1. Then there is a relaxations of not applying rule 36(4). Everything we will discuss. Let me start one by one. So first, let me start with rule 36(4). We all know 9th of October this was introduced in CGST rules, and it restricts credit to 20% of whatever coming in our GSTR 2A. So I'm talking about the October month. So it was that time it was allowing 20%. After that, from 1st of January 2020, all we know this 20% has been reduced to 10%. So as on date, law applicable is the credit allowable beyond the items coming in 2A is 10%. 10% of whatever coming in 2A. So that we will discuss more in the next slides. Friends, now I am also bringing your attention to this proviso to the rule 36(4), which is inserted by notification 30 by 2020 from 3rd April 2020. It says rule 36 provide that the said conditions shall apply cumulative for the period February, March, April, May, June, July, and August, and the return in the form 3B for the tax period September 2020 shall be furnished with the cumulative adjustment, the basic of the input tax credit. So there is a relaxation that you are not required to comply with the rule 36(4) till September return. For February, March, April, May, June, July, and August return, not required to see anything. See in the September month return. Let me discuss what exactly rule 36(4), how it works, and how we are impacted by this. All we know why I am talking all these provisions, these are going to impact us for the reason that due date of filing of GSTR1 has been extended. So people will not go for filing of GSTR1, and unless until they file GSTR1, it will not come in 2A. So we are definitely going to face the problem. Unless until there is a last date, unless until there is a restriction. कानून में अगर ये न लिखा होता कि हमें ये चीज कब तक करनी है तो हम कभी नहीं करते शायद. तो इसलिए अगर GSTR1 के लिए जो मार्च, अप्रैल और मई जो एसएससी मंथली फाइल कर रहे हैं उसको बढ़ा के 30 जून कर दिया गया है. So no SSC will bother till 30th June to file GSTR1, and if they will not file till 30th June 2020, it will not come into a and will impact the person who is want to take the credit. So what government is saying, not required to see anything. Similarly, there is change in the due date for the quarterly returns, those who are filing GSTR1 quarterly. For the March quarter, it can be filed by 30th June. So that we know. So this will delay the process, but at the same time we know that IGST paid on import, document issued under RCM, and credit received from input service distributor are not coming into a, so we can take the credit without going for this 10% rendition on this. That is, I thought I should clear all of you, and let me understand this entire things. Whatever invoice is furnished, have all the invoice furnished into a, means whatever credit as per your record is coming into a, you can avail the full credit. If it is less than 10%, whatever not coming in 2A, whatever is as per your input register, and it is short by less than 10% or 10%, then still you can take the credit. But if it is more than 10% not coming in 2A, then you have to take whatever coming in 2A plus 10% of that. But this condition is relaxed till September, I can say till September. Or let me understand this by way of these cases. First case, 10 lakh is the credit, it is coming 10 lakh totally, we can take up to 10 lakh. 10% should not be added in this case because we already received. In second case, 9,50,000 is the credit coming in 2A, so we can add 10%, but maximum whatever is, we are eligible for that. In third case, it is 8 lakh, so 80,000 we are eligible, so 8,80,000 is eligible as per condition of Rule 36(4). So what basically whatever is coming, we can take 10% extra of that as per rule. So up to 9, if somebody having credit of 10 lakh rupees and 9 lakh 0.09 is coming in the 2A, nothing to worry. But if it is coming less than that, then the cause of concern. Why I am discussing all this? Because we have to discuss provision for the items which is left out. Suppose you have filed your return. Suppose you have filed your return for the, if you have filed your return for the January, and that time you have not taken certain credit because it was not coming in 2A and it was beyond 10% also. So say the third case, 8 lakh was your input tax coming in the 2A and you have taken 8,80,000. Now 2 lakh which is not came in 2A for the month of January, what you will do now? Whether you will take the credit or you will not take the credit. Big question on that. I will discuss this February to August in the next slides. But the question which is before us, whether we should take the credit of that which is not came at that time. So we have to see that this, whether this is coming now in our 2A. Friends, let me clarify it again. If whatever credit is not appeared in our 2A till January and we have not taken that credit, we have taken 10% extra to that. But which is now, if you think that you can take the credit, friends, do not go for that. You have to check your 2A. If it is not coming in your 2A, please do not take those credits. And one thing I want to clear here, suppose the 8 lakh was the credit appearing in 2A for the month of January and 2 lakh was left out. So unless until you see this in 2A, whichever month you will see, you will take the credit. So how much credit you will take? Whatever your actual credit for that particular month, applying all the conditions of section 16 and section 17. What are the conditions? This, apart from this condition that it must appear in 2A, what are the other conditions? The goods and services must be received. You are in possession of a taxable invoice. 180 days has not been crossed for payment because there are no relaxations for all this. So all these conditions you have to continue to comply. Only thing that whatever credit as per your record plus whatever credit coming in 2A for the past period, you should take credit of that much amount only. And you also take care that if something you have taken 10% extra in the previous month, you should take care that after taking the credit, whatever coming in 2A, it should not cross the actual credit which you were eligible for. So that we must keep in mind. Now question is coming, what will be the interest liability on extra credit taken? Now friends, we will keep on taking credit from February to August, or rather in September. Whatever credit is coming till September we can take in the month of September, we have to check whether it is crossing 10% or not crossing 10%. If you check and found that it is crossing even 10%, you have whatever credit you have taken, people have not uploaded in the return, and so it is not coming in your 2A. Moreover, please keep in mind this rule 36(4) allow you to take the credit which is coming on the due date of filing of GSTR 1. This we must keep in mind. It is not the date when you are filing the return. It is within the due date of 2A. So for the month of September, whatever will come up to 11th of October, you are eligible for that date only. And people are asking how somebody will come to know what is appearing in my 2A on the due date of return, because it is a dynamic. हम सब जानते हैं जो 2A हमारा है वो हर दिन बदलता रहता है. जब भी कोई इवन सिंगल एसएससी फाइल रिटर्न्स, उन्होंने जब भी अपना जीएसटीआर 1 फाइल किया, वो सेम अमाउंट हमारे 2A में अपेयर होता है, वो चेंज हो जाता है. अगर आपने आज खोला है 2A तो कुछ दूसरे फिगर दिखेंगे, 2 दिन बाद आप खोलेंगे तो दूसरा फिगर दिखेगा. और 11 अक्टूबर को अगर आपको खोलेंगे या 11 अक्टूबर की रात को जो अगर आपका 2A अपेयर कर रहा था, उतना ही क्रेडिट आप लेने के लिए एलिजिबल है. 20 अक्टूबर को आप रिटर्न फाइल करने वाले हैं, प्लीज वो क्रेडिट नहीं लें. आपको नहीं पता कि कितना क्रेडिट ड्यू डेट वाले दिन अपेयर कर रहा था आपके जीएसटीआर 2A में, बट डिपार्टमेंट को ये पता है. डिपार्टमेंट कैन फाइंड आउट इन बाय वे ऑफ क्लिक ऑफ बटन कि व्हाट इज एक्चुअल क्रेडिट वाज अपेयरिंग फॉर यू ऑन द ड्यू डेट. तो उसका ध्यान रखें, उसके बाद ही आप क्रेडिट लें. और आपको फिर से याद दिलाना चाहूंगा, आप सब जीएसटी एसएससी हैं, आपकी जो भी रिक्वायरमेंट है लॉ में, जो भी कंडीशंस है लॉ में, वो आपको खुद से कंप्लाई करनी है. इसके लिए ऐसा नहीं आप इंतजार करेंगे कि डिपार्टमेंटल ऑफिसर विल कम एंड से और आस्क यू टू कंप्लाई, देन ओनली यू विल कंप्लाई. देन इट विल बी कंसिडर एज defaulter, then it will be considered as person liable for payment of penalties also. So be careful. It is self-assessed returns, so you have to assess your own, and if you are not assessing your returns correctly, then you may be liable for late fee and penalties and all consequences. So next question which I want to deal here, कि interest liability for extra credit लगेगी या नहीं लगेगी. No answer given by the department so far, but if you ask me, whatever credit you have taken and if you have utilized it, if you have not utilized the credit, no issue on this. Just you have taken the credit and it is lying in your credit ledger, no problem will arise to you. But if you utilized it and it is now showing that you have taken extra credit beyond the amount which you are eligible, as per 2A rule 36(4), for the month of October, you will be liable to pay interest. So while taking credit, be careful, comply all the provisions for calculation of calculations of the credit actually you are eligible for. Unless until you calculate your credit properly, unless until you comply all the conditions which is required, please do not go for taking the credit, because it relaxation is given to you for not matching the credit as with 2A, but no other relaxations has been given. Mind it, be careful. Only relaxations is to you are not required to match it with 2A. हमको मैच नहीं करना है, लेकिन हमें लॉ की जितनी बाकी कंडीशन है उसे देख के ही क्रेडिट लेना है. तो प्लीज डू नॉट फील इट इज ए लिबर्टी कि मेरा अगर 5,000 क्रेडिट बनता है तो 7,000 लिख देंगे और फिर बाद में देखी जाएगी. Please don't go for that. Department will ask your document. Department will ask to prove you how you have taken this credit of 7,000. Why not 2,000, 5,000 or whatever be the figure. So to my understanding, interest is applicable. No relaxations for interest. So do not take the credit if you are sure that it will not come in your 2A till 2A of the September month. अब हम चलते हैं नेक्स्ट आइटम पे, दैट इज ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ आईटीसी ऑन गुड्स डिस्ट्रॉयड डिस्पोज ऑफ ड्यू टू कोविड-19. फ्रेंड्स, we are facing these difficulties. Number of goods got expired, number of items disposed of being the perishable in nature, because the because the nobody was there to look after, so many reasons. So what will be the future, what will be the fate of this, whether you will be getting credit on account of this or you require to reverse the credit. If you go to section 17.5H, you will find that goods lost, stolen, destroyed, written off or disposed of by way of free gift or sent. Friends, if you ask me what is the situation of the goods which is expiring, if you ask me, it is not a goods which is lost, it is not a goods which is stolen, and it is not a goods which is destroyed even, because you are discarding those goods, you are disposing of those goods. But as per section, it is not destroyed. Destroyed means by act of nature, by act of God, whatever be the reason, it is destroyed by a human act, but it is not destroyed suo moto, not destroyed due to those reason. You are just discarding it because it is expired, you cannot sell it in the market, so you are destroying it. Whether this destroy and the destroy which is mentioned here is the same, whether we have to reverse. Friends, we all know there was a huge flood in Kerala, and during that time people have faced similar situations, goods were destroyed. But let me tell you, it is clarified. Let me clarify all of you. Number of people has received notices that whatever goods destroyed, department is taking this wording of the section 17.5H in very strict manner. So if you are going to take the credit for the good destroyed or disposed of, be ready for the litigation. We have ground to fight it out, but it will depend upon the situation, how much it is advisable for you, because there may be a situation where litigation cost will be higher than the credit which you want to take. So friends, as per law, whatever destroy taking place, whatever discard you are doing, government is have a intention not to allow you credit. Now I want to take you to the situation which is they have discussed in the case of pharma industries. It is clarified by way of circular that if goods are expiring, if medicines, suppose medicines are sold to a dealer and medicines got expired, and the pharma company was having a terms with the distributor that whatever medicine will expire, they will take it back and they will dispose at their end. So whenever they destroyed whatever medicines come back to them, they will issue a credit note. It is considered as goods return and credit will be allowed to them. But credit will be allowed to whom? Credit will be allowed to the person that is named here as a distributor. Distributor will get the credit adjusted on the basis of credit note because goods are returned by him. But manufacturer has to reverse the credit, and moreover, government is not going to reverse the input or inputs, raw materials which are destroyed. They are also saying that even finished goods have to be destroyed. Then we have to reverse the input credit, whatever used for manufacturing this particular product will also be reversed. So this is a litigated matter. I can say litigation is there. If it is really you are covered by this, again I will say that the litigation cost you have to consider, you have to understand it. But government is of the view that all this material which is destroyed or disposed of, be it expired due to the period or destroyed for any other reason, you have to reverse the credit. If it is finished goods purchased by you, if you are a manufacturer, or if you whatever inputs or input services used for manufacturing this particular product, you have to reverse that credit also. This is the intention of the law. So please do not think of anything else. Go and reverse the credit, whatever credit you have taken on the goods which is destroyed or disposed of due to COVID-19. Definitely, friends, it is a harsh step. I can say this will impact the traders largely because they are already suffering due to this closed down lockdowns or the non close down of their manufacturing units or so many other reasons. They are facing difficulties, but nothing to be done in this situation. कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते हैं. We have to see, understand the law, and as per law we are supposed to destroy or dispose of these goods. So we are supposed to reverse the credit because these are covered under section 17(5)(h). So we have to reverse it. Now friends, moving to our fourth item for discussion, that is treatment of discount and bad debt due to COVID-19. After this discussion, I'll take the question answer. Whatever questions coming to your mind, any other topic which is coming to your mind, please keep on writing on the chat box. We are regularly watching that. Now let's move to the fourth item, that is treatment of discount and bad debts due to COVID. Friends, there are a number of discounts. Discounts may be in different nature. I have named a few, and I thought this will guide us what type of discounts one can take. It is in-bill discount, means whatever discount we are mentioning on the bill at the time of issue of the bill, or we should call it invoice. That we understand. Second one is the off-bill discounts, means discount which was not mentioned on the invoice, but it is taken separately, it is given separately. These are known as off-bill discounts. Then there is a cash discount. What is this cash discount? If somebody make the payment within a limited time or within the time as decided at the time of supply, or there may be a cash discount which is decided later on, will have different impact. We will discuss in our next slides how it will be impacted. So there is cash discount, means money has been realized within the time or before the time seller may have agreed to provide some discounts. Then there is quantity discount. If somebody will buy a certain amount of quantity, then he will get the discount. But suppose we have sold 1,000 unit today, 1,000 unit day after tomorrow, but we are understanding that if 25,000 units is achieved, then only this quantity discount will be given. So we cannot give discount on this first invoice or till we have reached 25,000. We cannot give this discount, but there may be a condition that on reaching 25,000 we will give discount for entire 25,000 lot. So these are known as quantitative discount. What will be the fate of this? We will definitely discuss that also. There may be a special discount. We call it, since I am in Bengal, we call it Puja discount. If you are in Delhi, you will call it Deepavali discount. Or you are in Mumbai, then you may call it some Siddhi Ganesh Chaturthi discount. So some special discount may be given. So these are also known as discount. Discounts in kind means if you are eligible for particular conditions, then discount will be given to you in kind. That may be certain additional item will be given, that will be in kind. Free stocks means you will get additional quantity of the same item. Then buy one take two. Friends, this buy one take two is also one sort of discount. Then there are nominal value supplies. if supplies, this is as quantity discounts, or this is, there may be nominal value discounts, supplies. So if we have reached the value, then we will get them. So these type of discounts are there. And friends, what will be the treatment? Because whatever we have agreed prior to sales, and if you have given the discount, we are eligible for the adjustment of that. But what will happen if it is happening post sales? Let me understand it. I This is valuation section. Section 15 talks about the value of supplies shall not include any discount. Mind it, it is written as value of supply will not include, means we are not required to pay tax on this discount. Value will not include this discount, which is given before or at the time of supply. And if such discount is duly recorded in the invoice issued in respect of such supply. Means whatever discounts you are giving on the invoice, or which is agreed before the supply or at the time of supply, you are eligible to adjust this amount with your taxable value. No tax is required to be paid on this. So this we understand, whatever discount is given at the time of the supply or prior to that, or same thing has been mentioned on the invoice. If you have mentioned this on your invoice, then it is allowed. No second question will be asked to you. Now coming to second type of discount is after the supply has been affected. If you are giving some discount which is after the supply has been affected, means post supply discount. So the two conditions are mentioned for this. One is there must be terms of an agreement entered into at or before the time of such supply. So there must be an agreement at the time of supply or before the time of such supply, specifically linked to the relevant invoices. Friends, do not get confused with the credit note not required to be linked with each invoice. It is condition in the section, and it is talking if this discount can be considered as a discount deduction in value of supply only and only if it is identified with the invoice. Second thing, the input credit as attributable to the discount on the basis of document issued by the supplier. We will discuss the credit notes in the next few slides, and you will find that. So it is document issued by the suppliers has been reversed by the recipient. The recipient must have reversed the benefit of the credit. Benefit, we always consider whatever credit they are taking is some sort of benefit they are getting, and they have to reverse it. So if these two conditions for the post-sale discounts is basically there must be an agreement, the agreement must exist on the day of supply. It is not that you have agreed post-supply. So, and the recipient must reverse the credit. So now we are coming to the bad debts or the discounts which is due to COVID. If it is not agreed by you prior to sale, it will not be allowed you as a discount or reduction in the value of supply. That we must note it. That only things be elaborated in the next few slides. Let me move ahead. So I have compiled this by way of a table. Any discount before or at the time of supply, if duly recorded in invoice, you will be eligible. After the supply, then it must be an agreement and reversed by the recipient. So these things we must keep in mind for any type of discounts. Bad debt I am discussing later on. Now we are discussing the discount portion. Friends, as we have understood from the second condition, of section 15, which talks about the reversal of credit in case of discounts, which is saying based on the document issued by the supplier. Based on the document issued by the supplier, the buyer has reversed the credit. This is the condition as per section 17. Now coming to what is that document? The document is known as credit note. Friends, let me tell all of you, let me remind all of you, in GST, whatever documents we are talking, whatever invoice, credit note, debit note we are talking, all debit note, credit note and invoice are considered as a valid document if they are issued by the supplier. There may be a situation that the buyer has issued certain debit note or sometime credit notes. These are not considered as a valid document for compliance of GST. In GST, all documents as issued by the supplier is only considered as a valid document. So now we are talking about the credit notes. Means if some discount has been given, then the supplier has to issue a document which is named as credit note, that is covered under section 34(1). So basically it is talking about what type of scenarios where we can issue an invoice. Where a tax invoice has been issued for supply of any goods or services or both, and the taxable value and tax charged. Friends, basically in 4 type of scenarios we can issue a credit notes. As per GST law, section 34(1), a credit notes can be issued in 4 type of situations. First is the taxable value has been wrongly mentioned, or tax charge has been found in exceed to the taxable value or tax payable in respect of such supply. अगर टैक्स हमने जो चार्ज करना था या हमें जो टैक्सेबल वैल्यू लिखनी थी वो हमने भूल से ज्यादा लिख दी या हमने भूल से ज्यादा टैक्स चार्ज कर दिया तो हम उसका क्रेडिट नोट इशू कर सकते हैं. Third type of situation, that is only in case of goods, not in case of services. Please mind it, or where the goods supplied are returned. So if goods supplied are returned by the recipient, then we can issue a credit note. This is the third situation. First was the taxable value is mentioned in excess of the amount supposed to be mentioned. Tax charge has been higher than the amount supposed to be charged, or goods has been returned. That is only in case of goods. Or where goods or services or both supplies are found to be deficient. If buyer claims that whatever item he was ordered is not delivered as per the specification or as per the requirement or as per his understanding, it is deficient in nature, deficient in quality. Friends, here both services and goods are covered. Then the supplier can issue a credit note. So these 4 type of situations, let me understand it by way of diagram also, where a tax invoice has been issued by the supplier of goods or services or both, where tax value, if the invoice is charged higher or tax is charged higher, or where goods is supplies are returned, and where goods or services both found out deficient in nature, then supplier shall issue a credit note to the recipient. Why I am discussing this in detail? Because unless until you understand these provisions, you will not understand what will happen to your bad debt and discounts. So you have to understand it, then only you will able to appreciate how the law has been drafted and how it is going to impact all of us. So as we discussed, only 4 type of situations one can issue a credit note. For discounts, we have discussed 2 type of situation. One which is decided at the time of supply. Let me tell not the word which is decided at the time of supply, but given later on. First type of discount. And second type of discount which is given at the time of supply. 2 type of discounts. One is given at the time of supply. Second type of discount which is decided at the time of supply but given later on. Whenever you have decided this, you have written this by way of an agreement, and the buyer has reversed the credit. whatever he has taken based on the document issued by you, that is credit note under section 34(1). Now friends, this have further conditions. What is the further conditions? Let me take you to there. That is, supplier shall issue and declare. This is one of more condition. The supplier who is issuing a credit note shall issue a credit note and declare this credit note in the September month return or date of filing of annual return, whichever is earlier, September month return of the next year and date of filing of annual return, whichever is earlier. He have to declare this in his GSTR 1. If this credit note are not declared in the GSTR 1, then you cannot reduce the value of the supply to the recipient. So this is about the discounts. So any discount which is not determined at the time of supply, like COVID situation, there may be certain situations when these discounts are agreed upon later on. These discounts will not be considered as adjustment of GST liability. GST liability cannot be adjusted for these invoices which on the basis of which you have given some discount which is decided after the supply. So no adjustment for that. Now coming for the bad debts. Friends, GST law not recognize bad debt as a tool to adjustment of tax liability. In one of the discussion with the government officials, they have said, you have agreed to bad debt, your supply, we have not agreed to bad debt, so our tax will not be allowed to you as an adjustment. Moreover, the same thing has been clarified by government when they were discussing the FAQs issued for banking and financial services, that whatever bad debts is there, no adjustment for that will be available to you. You have to pay tax, discharge your tax liability on the invoices which is issued and ultimately gone bad. You are unable to realize your value, so you cannot adjust tax liabilities. But friends, if some amounts are not realized by you due to deficient, the claim of the buyer is that service was deficient in nature. Service was not up to the mark, not as required or as ordered by them. So no adjustment of that will be available to you, because we have understood section 34(1) conditions for issuing the credit note, also covering that we can issue credit note. We can issue credit note in case of deficiency in service quality or deficiency in product quality. So this is only option available to one. If it is due to bad debt is due to a deficiency in quality or deficiency in quality of goods, then only credit note can be issued. For that also you are required to issue credit note. Please mind it under section 34(1), and you have to declare that credit note before the September month return or before the due date, before the date of filing of the annual return. If you have filed your annual return before the due date of filing of September month return, if you filed your annual return prior to that, then also it will be considered as last date for taking credit benefit, not the benefit, I should use adjustment of the credit notes issued by you. That is the last date. So these things we must keep in mind. So these all 4 points I thought I should discuss with all of you in detail. Anything related to this, I'm here ready to answer that, or anything coming to your mind which is part of the topic for today's topic, that is COVID effect on GST. Thank you very much for a patient listening. Now If any queries are there, I am here to answer.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for this valuable and insightful session, and it's really very useful for all of us. And with this, there are a lot many queries which is asked by our users. So I will just speak one of the query one by one, and then maybe you can answer them. So one of the query from the participant is, I got update in Jan 2020 from my customer for financial year 17-18 when they filed annual return. There was an error from my end where I have selected incorrect GSTN number for the same customer, which is in other state. For example, I sold goods to Maharashtra GST, but by error in GST 1, I have selected Gujarat state GST number for the same customer. I was not aware, but when they informed me in Jan 2020, I was not in the capacity to amend my invoice for financial year 17-18. Now customer issued debit note for unavailable credit. Please guide me the next steps.
My friend, nothing can be done by you as all due dates are closed. Nothing is in your hand. But one thing this your buyer could have done, or they can do it. Suppose you have sold this good to Maharashtra, and where you have raised the invoice, in which state? GSTN is mentioned.
In Gujarat.
Gujarat. So you have raised an invoice on Gujarat basically. So you have mentioned Gujarat GSTN number. So this gentleman can raise an invoice from Gujarat to Maharashtra. So credit will get transferred from Gujarat to Maharashtra, because Gujarat registration number, definitely he has received this credit. If you mention the Gujarat registration number, then Gujarat registration is getting this credit. So as he has received the credit in Gujarat, why he is issuing a debit note on you? He can transfer this credit from Gujarat to Maharashtra, which is my understanding, and credit has gone to this particular client. This is not the case that it is not gone to him at all. It is gone to his Gujarat unit rather going to Maharashtra unit. I feel, Subhi, this is the situation only.
Yeah, yes. So I will just go to the second query. It's like, sir, will extra availment of ITC under Rule 36(4) attracts provision of Section 50 subsection 3 requiring payment of interest at the rate of 24% per annum, or it should be 18% per annum under Section 50 subsection 1 of CGST Act?
My understanding, it should be 18%, not 24%. This is not a credit which you have not allowed to take and you have taken. You were allowed to take the credit, but now 36(4) will come into play in the month of September only. Once it will come into play, then you are not becoming eligible to take the credit. Then your calculation is saying your extra credit has been taken. So it is 18% case, not a case of 24%.
We'll move towards the next question. What would be the treatment for the ITC credit for the products which is not resellable? We'll give an example. If we purchased mobile from a distributor and sold that in e-commerce site, and customer opened the seal and used for 1-2 days, and then he returned and we reversed the sale. In this case, the product is not resellable due to opened seal. Can we avail input in this case?
Definitely, it is not destroyed. It is lying in your stock. So unless until it is destroyed, lost, or no condition debarring you to take the credit or reverse the credit. Only thing, you will sell this product, I think, at a discounted rate or at a lower rate. That time you will definitely pay the GST, and whatever credit you are taken is, I think, not debarring you to take the credit, or reversal is not required, to my understanding, because you are not going to throw it out. This mobile will be sold by you to some other customer. The price will be not the same. You will sell it at a lower price. You pay the GST on that. No problem will come to you.
So there is another question. Can we claim ITC on health insurance that has been taken for an employee? As I read an article on Economics Time that it is mandatory for an employer to take insurance of their employees.
After this COVID, this HMA guideline now saying that we have to take the health insurance for our employees. So it is required as per law. This is the only condition Section 17(5) talks about, that if it is required as per law, you are taking insurance, then it will be allowed. So you are doing absolutely as per law. So you will be eligible to take that.
So anyhow, this is a big relaxation which has been given to people, and now they can actually claim the ITC on this health insurance. With this, I will. There's another question: what time period we can issue a debit or a credit note in the normal course, or in this current pandemic situation when the GST portal grants for extension of filing the return?
Friends, Section 34 talks about the issue of invoices and the issue of debit note and credit note. Let me first segregate debit note and credit note. Credit notes are the things where you will reduce the tax liability. You will adjust the tax whatever you have paid. So government has restriction of September month return or the annual return, whichever is earlier. No extension for this has been given. Now comes to debit note. Please do not merge with the credit notes. Debit note where you are going to pay something extra to the government, you can pay lifetime any day. No restriction on issuing of debit note. Debit notes are being issued in the form of that where you have charged the tax less or you have declared the value less, something of supplementary in nature. You are going to increase your tax liability. You can increase on any day, no issue on this. So credit notes, no extensions. Debit note, never stop.
There's another question. What is the treatment of subsidy received from state government for purchase of capital goods?
Subsidy received from government is nothing to be worried about this. Anyway, government subsidies are not even debarring us from taking the credit. If somebody else has given us the subsidy, this is for valuation purposes. Whenever you are making some supplies and you are receiving some subsidies, then only if it is linked with the price and not a government subsidy, then we have to add that subsidy in the valuation purposes. For taking this credit of something, if you have received some certain subsidy, no consideration, nothing to be adjusted in your books of accounts. You are eligible for taking the credits out of this.
So other question is, sir, is it advisable to take input tax credit matching with 2A and take the credit of unuploaded invoices in the later months whenever the supplier uploads the invoice?
This is basically a working capital requirement, how your organization is placed. If you are comfortable with this, nobody is asking you to take this credit. But this will depend upon the nature of the invoices, why it is delayed. If this regular person who will upload in the next month, then you should take the credit. If you are not pretty sure that this person will upload it or not, when he will upload, you are not sure about this, then definitely you can hesitate in taking the credit. Otherwise, credit is your right as per law. Only a delay of 1 or 2 months is accommodated in this proviso to Rule 36(4). Otherwise, nothing is to be considered. You can take the credit. But if your working capital definitely permitting you, then you can postpone this credit. Take as per whatever credit in coming into a maximum 3-4 month delay will be there. In the month of September anyway, when we are going to restrict this.
So we'll just take last two more questions, though there are a lot of queries here, but we'll just take last two questions. So one query is how to reverse the ITC taken wrongly, which is reflecting in credit ledger as excess ITC, which is actually nil. So what to do if the user has wrongly taken the ITC?
You have to add deduct from the credit which is you are taking this month, or you have to add in your output tax liability.
Okay. And other query is regarding this rule 36(4). So the query is like right now, since government has given some relaxation from Feb 2020 till August 2020. So what will happen of the document for which we have not claimed any ITC till date, which is for the month of January 2020? Whether this relaxation will also be applicable for the document dated January 2020?
Basically, you are asking that some credit which you are supposed to take in the month of January only, but you have not taken. Now, whether you can take this credit? Definitely, you can take this credit. We have time till September month return or filing of annual return. Whatever credit pertaining to last year, we can take as, as and when we wish. So no restriction on this, but this condition of 2A, you have to see it must come by September month 2A, by the September month 2A, then you are comfortable with this. Or if it is already came in the month of January and you have not taken the credit, then also you are eligible to take the credit. You can take it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for answering for like so many queries which users have asked, and we think we have covered most of the queries which has been asked by the user, and is really very useful for them to know. And also, your session was really very useful, and it actually helps them in dealing with the different scenarios they deal in daily life whenever it comes to GST. So with this, I would like to invite CA Preeti Khurana. She is a chartered accountant and has over 16 years of experience in accounting, taxes, and audit. She also leads the content strategy for taxes at ClearTax.
Thank you, Surbhi. Thank you so much. The participants are feeling very satisfied with your explanations, and they were especially focused towards the coronavirus problems that a lot of taxpayers are facing. And today I saw that there are many questions, and GST is definitely an area of learning for all of us, and it is so evolving that, sir, you have to keep coming back and explaining to us. It was a very useful session, and I would like to extend my thank you to you and also to all the participants who joined us today. Tomorrow of the Masters of Tax series, tomorrow on 29th of May at 3 p.m. We will be talking about the world and India post COVID-19. Like, what is the world going to look like? What is India going to look like after COVID-19? And this will be held with CA Dhinal Shah. He's the partner at Ernst & Young. He's a former Central Council member. And I will be joining that session with Archit Gupta. He's our founder. So I would love to see all of you again tomorrow. Until then, all of you, please stay safe. And we look forward to more sessions with Sir. And again, sir, thank you very much for joining in and for enlightening us, for guiding us in these difficult times. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sushil sir. Thank you, Preeti ji. And Sushil sir, it was
Thank you.
really like we are very honored to have you today in our session. And it's really great to listen to you. And I know that the audience would be happy about it. And at least most of the queries have been solved, especially when I was looking into the queries. There are a lot many queries, and now it has been answered through your session and at the end, which you have taken as an FAQ. So with this, I would like to conclude something. We all know that right now we all are at our home, we are stuck at our home, and we have to deal with this new normal. But at the same time, we also have to see, like June, when we talk about the June, there are a lot many deadlines which are going to come, especially when it comes to GST. We know the deadlines for GST one, especially for the month of March, April, and May, has been extended till 30th June. Similarly, if we talk about 3B, for the month of Feb, March, and April, the same was between 24th June to 6th July, depending on the user's turnover or the state in which he is registered. So the deadlines has been actually not extended, but it is just a new compliance date. So if you comply with that new compliance date, in that case, you don't have to pay any late fees or interest. But if you don't comply with that new compliance date, you have to pay the late fees and the interest from the original due date, which is really important for all of us to understand. This interest and the late fees will be levied from the original due date. Obviously, there is one exception for the people whose turnover is more than 5 crore, because for them, they just got the relaxation of 15 days. But for others, they have got actually ample opportunity to file the return because they all were stuck at home. So it's really a right time. If you are able to open the office or if you're able to get the documents from the client, start filing the return right now. Don't wait for the last moment, because you have to file for so many clients and also for so many months. So better file it now. So with this, I will also just give you a small demo, like how you can use ClearTax by staying at your home and file the return online. So you just have have to log into ClearTax. So you have to log into cleartax.in/GST. After you log in, you will be able to see this screen, and there you can see lot many options. You can file the return, you can run the reconciliation. We have a Tally connector. So if you're already using Tally and you just want to ingest the data directly from Tally, you can get all the data in a single click from Tally itself. Along with that, if you want to download what your supplier has done, you can download the multi-month two-way report. You can look at the supplier compliance report. There are a lot many other reports like 3B versus 2A, 3B versus 1. So you can look into that. You can download the entire data at just a single click. Apart from that, you can also track for the filing status, because being a CA is very important for us to see for which particular GSTNs we have filed the return and for which GSTNs we have not filed the return, and we have to file it now. We have to call our customers or maybe clients and ask for the document, and then we can actually file our returns. So these are the different options which is available in ClearTax. So if I will just show you how we can just track the filing status of different clients which we have on our platform. So you can use our bulk addition option. You can add lot of client in a single click. So after you have added the clients, you can actually go with the filing dashboard where you can track the filing status of different clients. So here you will be able to see the list of different clients which you have on your platform. After you see the list of the different clients on your platform, you can actually see the filing status over here. So you can see what is the filing status for 3B, what is the filing status of GST 1. If you have to file for the 9, obviously for 17-18 we have already done with the 9. For 18-19 also you can see it over here. So you can see this over here, and then you can see all of your client list over here, and then can see what is the filing status of your clients. And basis that you can actually proceed further and file the return for them. So if you just, let's say I want to file GST 1 of one of my client, I can just click on them. I can go and just import the data in one click. If we are preparing our data in government template, we can use government template. If we have ClearTax template, because we also have our own template, you can also ingest the data using ClearTax template. But if let's say you have your own template, you don't want to use ClearTax template or the government template, you want to use your own template, you can still do that. We have a custom mapper. So that will be one-time activity. You just have to map your headers, the file which you want to use, just map it for the first time and ingest the file. After you ingest your file over here, so I will just show you one sample thing. So let's say I want to file the return, and for now I'm just using the ClearTax template over here. So after you see the template has been ingested over here, you can just go to returns. After you go to return, you will be able to see the documents which has been ingested. So once you review and you feel like everything is okay over here, you can also see the detail if you want to. You want to see the invoice of information, you can do that. Once it is done, you can just click on upload to GST. You can upload without OTP if you don't have the OTP of the client, or you can use OTP also, which means you have to activate your API and you can upload it over there. So you can click on upload to with OTP. Once you did, your data will be uploaded to the government portal. Once that is done, you just have to click on file and just submit and file your return. So this is how your GST 1 will be prepared. And if you are a monthly user, maybe a quarterly user, your 3B will be automatically prepared. So think I'm a monthly user. I want to file my return usually by 11th of the next month. Because of this COVID-19, we have got so many relaxation. So here, once you upload your information at an invoice level, automatically your 3B will also be prepared. So now if after filing your GST 1, you go to 3B, you click on invoice mode. There if you just go to, because I have filed for the month of March, if you just go to March, click on review GST at 3B, you will be able to see the data is already present over here also. So automatically your 3B will also be prepared. And once it is prepared, you just have to click on upload to GSTN, upload the information on the government portal, and then just make the payment if you have any, because there is some challan which needs to be paid. You have to make the payment from here. You can actually see the challan amount over here. You can use that. After making the payment, you just have to click on file return and file your return. So this is how you can actually file your GST 1 and GST 3B, and you can at the same time see the list of all of your client at one place. So rather than seeing like how I have to file all of this and keep on tracking at a separate Excel file or maintaining the separate Excel file, you can file all of your return at one place. At the same time, track the returns of your clients. So this is how you can file your 1 and 3B. We can also discuss in detail about the various other feature in detail in other session. Thank you very much.